Okay, so I am back in Greensboro briefly, teaching a couple of classes and getting some coffee at, this is a new coffee place that I just found after I leave, called 33 and Elm. Totally digging it. So if you're down there, check it out. Down there. If you're down here, check it out. I am headed over to Lake Brant, my old haunt where I would paddle, but I'm doing something different. The trusty Delta is going to stay on the roof of the van today because today I'm going to test paddle that. Okay, so today we're doing something different. Ooh, that's about to fall out of there. Today I am going to not paddle my Delta. I'm going to test paddle, demo paddle a Romany, which I always want to call Romany. So as I'm talking about it, I might say Romany, but it's Romany. A Romany Surf. There are a bunch of different Romanys. I don't know all of the different models. I'll figure it out and put them up here. And yeah, so I thought I'd go through the process of just sort of demoing a boat, which is a good skill, I think, to have as you're learning and trying out new boats. So yeah, I've done this once before. I did this when I got my new Delta, which is no longer a new Delta. But let's do it with a different boat. A boat, I've paddled a Romany, but it was a long time ago, and this is the surf version. And this one is carbon. So I think it's going to be pretty different. So let's grab gear and get on the water. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do with this boat is look at it even before I put it on the water, which I already did. This boat has a lot of rocker, has soft chines. I have come to discover that I like boats with a moderate amount of rocker and a hard chine. So the chines on this boat are very similar to the chines on my Delta, but this boat has way more rocker than my current Delta has. I think it's got even more rocker than my old Delta. And this boat has a skeg, which I'm fine with a skeg. The only reason I don't like skegs is it takes up space in the stern compartment where I want to put gear. And that's really the problem for me with this boat, is it's just too low volume. It doesn't hold enough gear for the kinds of trips that I do. Let's get in the boat and see how it feels. This is nice. I went and grabbed my bilge pump and paddle float and didn't realize underneath she already had a bilge pump and paddle float hidden in a pocket under here, which is super sweet. I'm pretty sure that was added. I don't think that that's standard. This boat has what I think of as the best seat in the market. It is a very low profile seat back. So this is, while I do a lot of time complaining about seats in boats and the seat backs, I think this is what I want in a boat. So in that sense, I'm a big fan already. Okay, before I do anything, I'm going to adjust foot pegs. And this one has the little clips on the back, so all I need to do is shorten them, which is super easy. Just pull them forward with my toes. This boat is also outfitted out for Kitty, my friend who's loaning me the boat. So it's got a lot of padding on the side, which I actually really like. I'm going to apologize immediately because obviously this isn't my boat and it doesn't have all my camera mounts, so I've got just one camera mounted on the front of it. so I don't have multiple views. Or the next thing that I'm going to do, even before I put my spray skirt on, is I just want to get a feel for how tippy it is. Primary stability, secondary stability. Secondary stability is very high. It's very hard to get it past here. It's got a pretty unstable, which I like, which is going to make it easier to edge this boat. So this boat not only has a lot of rocker, it's got a very upturned bow, upturned stern, which is going to make the boat easier to roll because it's just not going to want to sit upside down. If you put this boat upside down in the water, it's going to flip over onto its side and then right itself, which is super nice. Okay, skirt goes on. Very easy, super nice cockpit combing. If you watched my review of the Delta, you know that's my big complaint with that boat, is the cockpit combing is not very positive or very aggressive, and this one is. So that goes on easy. Okay, because of all that rocker, I'm seeing this boat doesn't track as well. Ooh, oh, I'm a liar. There's Skag. Skeg there we go. That's going to help tracking. I'm going to start with Skeg all the way down, but I probably don't need it all the way down. Halfway is probably fine. This boat has a very nice glide, meaning it wants to keep going. I'll also say these are absolutely perfect conditions for testing a boat. It is dead flat calm with just a hint of a breeze, so I'm not going to feel effects or anything. The downside of that is I don't get to see what it's like paddling it in big wind and see how it's affected by wind. So if I were buying this boat, I might do 2 test paddles and try and arrange the second one on a windy day. That would be really nice. This boat, I'm not sure of the length. I thought it was 17, but then someone else I was talking to said that they thought it was 16. It does feel a little bit shorter than my boat. But this is a nice boat. You'll notice I have not done anything in terms of turning this boat yet. I just sort of want to get a feel for it. We're going to paddle it out a ways and see how it feels. Absolutely love the outfitting in this boat. Absolutely love. I need to do this in my boat. Add more padding there. There are little foot pads under the heels, which I'm not even sure if I'm on. Kitty is taller than me. I am not on them. I would move those in further. You would have to have tiny little feet for those to be there. Love the seat back. Absolutely love the seat back. There's nothing there, and it forces you to have good posture. I've got just a little bit of pressure in the lower back. I'm going to give this a little bit of an edge, and we're going to see how it turns. With all this rocker, it should turn beautifully. It does. It's not hard to hold it on edge. I can't get it quite as high as my Delta, but I'm just not used to it yet. Oh, Skeg is up. Let's get Skeg. I mean, Skeg is down. Let's get Skeg up. Oh, yeah. Turns on a dime. And this is the surf version, so it's not going to track real well, but very responsive boat. Super nice. Which tells me a boat this responsive, right? Everything is a trade-off, so if the boat turns really well, it doesn't track really well, and that's why we have a Skeg. Let's put her down halfway this time. And tells me it's not going to perform as well in a crosswind, and I'm not quite sure. It is a surf boat, but my gut says in rough water it's just not going to be very stable, which is fine. And that's, I'm assuming. I haven't paddled it in rough water, but this is a very nice boat. Okay, so that's interesting. I can hear the Skeg moving. Yeah, it's definitely the Skag. So that Skeg is a little loose. That would probably drive me crazy, is how much that moves. I'll tell you, I would also, so the Skeg control is over here on the left. I would mark I would put vertical marks on this to show me maybe in quarters. Skeg positions, because I'm a big fan of really fine-tuning a skeg position. And because I can't see it because of the shape of the hull, it's a little hard for me. I'm sure I would get used to it, but that's 3 fingers in 4 fingers in back and 3 fingers in front, and I'd really like it dead center. So I think I would probably mark that up with a nice sticker so that I can see where the skeg is. So these are all the things that I run through when I get into a boat for the first time. Is it comfortable? Does it perform the way I want it to? Does it do the things I want it to do in the water? So I'm gonna paddle back into the cove that I used to teach in and do some sweep turns, turn the boat around, and just sort of see how it feels. Continue to sort of suss out what I'm feeling. So far I'm loving fit. Honestly, I'm loving paddle. Yeah, snappy, I would say. And part of that is how light it is. 38 pounds, I believe, for the carbon Kevlar version. Yeah, snappy and stiff, and that is most choice. It is very nice boat. Another thing I'm going to look at a brand new boat is just sort of what I call fit and finish. Is how is it finished? Are like the screws holding in the bungees and the deck rigging protected on the underside in some way, shape, or form, with either fiberglassed over or with a rubber cap over them, you'll sometimes see, just so me and my gear is not rubbing up against those. I'll check that out when I get out of the boat. Actually, I can do it right now. Yeah, so these are fiberglassed over, so you can't feel them. There's just a little bump there. A pretty sizable bump, actually, but there's a bump there. Our edges smooth, our edges crisp. I kind of don't like that the stickers on the side are just a straight up decal, just because they're going to come off at some point, which I don't like. This is not an inexpensive boat, and I would like paint, something like that. The name could be in the gel coat, like this graphic is on the top, but lots of big trees fell here. We're going to get a little bit past these trees, then we'll start turning this boat around, see how it feels. Again, this is with the skeg halfway down. Yeah, it's worked to get this to turn with the skeg halfway down, which is a good sign in terms of tracking in a crosswind. Not bad, but surprising. Okay, let's just do a static sweep now. Very nice. I'm doing that flat with the skeg halfway down. That turns very nicely. With no pressure on the skeg going forward, it's not really slowing down that turn much at all. That's delightful. Yeah, skeg up, this thing turns on a dime. Okay, so let's talk about things that I am not loving in this boat. I don't like the hatch covers. So all of these are very classic Nigel Dennis things that have not changed in decades, because they work well. I just don't think they work great. So the hatch covers, I find, I haven't tried these, and it varies a lot boat to boat depending on the age of the covers and such, but the hatch covers I find can be hard to put on, particularly in the cold. I paddle in the cold a lot. I don't like the day hatch back here. It adds a bulkhead, which does add some rigidity to the boat, but I don't like losing a big chunk of storage in the back. And the opening is pretty small, and I'm pretty limber. I could open this, but I don't know that I could close it here on the water. And so I think putting a day hatch there doesn't make a lot of sense. As you know, if you watch my videos, I'm not even a fan of day hatches up here because it gets in the way of things like a map case and such. And it adds weight to the boat. The owner of this boat was telling me that the boat weighs 38 pounds, but the hatch covers add 4 pounds to it. So that I feel like it could be done a little bit better, but we really haven't seen a change in them because they work well. They probably are fairly dry. Yeah, so I'm not happy with those. I wish there was a rudder option, but I think with the tremendously upturned stern, that wouldn't be possible. But beyond that, I don't really have a complaint. I'd like it to be 17 or even 17 and a half feet. I don't know the width of it. I'll put that up here. But I wouldn't mind it a half an inch narrower. Super nice boat. Yeah. One other thing I'll say about this boat that I would have to change sort of the way I do things is I wouldn't be real comfortable just dragging this boat up on the beach because I'd be worried about pulling off gel coat. So a little bit more fragile in that sense, but the carbon Kevlar means it's easier to pick it up and walk it to my car. Still, I'm pretty hard on boats, and that is something that I would have to keep in mind with a composite boat like this. So the last thing that I did was just cruised back from the island and turned on my GPS on my watch, just because I wanted to see sort of my normal cruise and how fast we were going. And this boat is about the same speed as my Delta, even though it's a little bit shorter, and I think it's a little bit narrower. So those two things counteract each other, I think. And I'm doing about what I do. It had me right at around 3.5 knots, which is about where I cruise on a flat day. So no real surprises there. Overall, super happy with this boat. Beautiful fit and finish, beautiful to paddle, fun to paddle, light because of the carbon Kevlar. As I said, I think it comes in around 38 pounds. This is a beautiful boat. And I said the only things I don't like, another thing that I do like is the upturned bow is really going to make this boat ride up and over waves really beautifully, which isn't surprising because it's the surf version. I don't know if the non-surf version has a lower bow or not. A couple things I don't like: the hatch covers, the storage, the day hatch, which adds a bulkhead. I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's me, and that might be fine for you. All in all, a great boat. The really big downside is if you want to buy one of these, it's in the neighborhood of about $4,000, which is a little too rich for my blood as a lowly paddling instructor. This is a great boat for fun and play, a beautiful paddle. I highly recommend it. Just doesn't suit the stuff that I do in a boat, which is I want to go long distances carrying a lot of gear. This just doesn't have the volume that I need, but awesome boat, big fan. Okay, that's about all I've got today. If you enjoyed this, I'm looking to paddle a Nigel Dennis Explorer. I paddled one a long time ago. I'd like to do it again. As my skills have progressed and my knowledge has gotten higher, I'd like to take another evaluation of that boat. So if you've got one and you'll let me paddle it, send me a message or hit me up with a comment. I'd love to paddle that boat. Otherwise, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe. My books are available on Instagram. My books are available on Amazon. And you can buy me a coffee on Coffee. Links are down below. I'll see you on the water. How do I? I guess I don't.